You still? That sucks.
Different yesterday.
Oh, take a look. Okay, James Cameron.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Firstly, thank you very much to Olga and Alex and his team for the invitation to come to the very mild springtime in Moscow. Perfect to see snow on the ground in springtime. Before we start, can everyone stand up? Put your phones down, laptops down, and stand up. Okay, so we're going to get a bit of energy in the room. You're not standing up. Thank you. You as well. Okay, so I'm going to get 1, 2, 3, and then jump, okay? All at the same time. 1, 2, 3, go. Perfect, sit down. Good, some energy in the room. Right, I run a little events company in the UK. We do events in the US market, the UK market, and the German market, teaching traditional brands, say retailers, banks, the travel and tourism sector, how to use mobile. So we've seen a lot of innovation now from traditional companies moving into mobile. And I'm a firm believer that mobile should act as a real utility. You can have your games and stuff for wasting time, but also it's very important to have mobile products that actually save time and make a difference. So that's kind of my preamble. So I would like to introduce now onto the stage Marcel Pirlich. Woo-hoo! Thank you. And who else do we have? Dmitry. Woo! And is Max in the room? Yes? Not yet. Yes, Max is in the room. Big hand. Woo! And the other Dmitry is here. Yes. Come on. Woo! And finally, Mick from Microsoft. Wow. Okay, so we are running a little bit behind schedule, so I will quickly ask all the panelists to quickly introduce themselves. 30 seconds. What's your company and what do you do? Dima.
Hey everyone, my name is Dmitry and I run a company Tarasov Mobile, and what we do is B2C mobile application development.
Hi everyone, I'm Max and I represent Intellectsoft today. We are basically a mobile outsourcing company, but we also own our own products and projects, which we do not only for mobile platforms, but also for desktop systems and vehicle systems as well.
Hi, my name is Marcel, and we have a software which automates advertising on Google, and we are currently thinking about expanding that to Yandex. And what the software is actually doing is on auction-based advertising systems like Google AdWords, it fixes the bids automatically 5 times per day. So whenever you do advertising, please come and talk to me. I'm sure that we can help to market your products more efficiently.
My name is Dmitry. I'm with the Devexperts company from St. Petersburg, Russia. We are very focused on creating trading platforms and trading software for various markets, and I'm the head of the mobile development there, creating mobile applications for trading.
Mikhail, Chernomordikov, Microsoft Russia, helping developers on Windows Phone and Windows 8.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, so in the UK there's been some really bad uses of mobile in terms of advertising and usability. For example, there's on billboard advertising in the underground, across the tracks, there's an advert with a very small QR code. Firstly, there's no internet on the underground, and secondly, you have to walk across a very, very high voltage line to get close enough to scan it. So there's really, like, people are moving into mobile heavily from brands, but they don't get it yet. So, the first question really is for you, Marcel. Is how do you see mobile users? When are they using mobile products? Is there a difference between morning and nighttime, and when they're traveling? If you can give some insights from an advertising perspective, what trends you're seeing.
Right. What we see that you have to differentiate what device, what location, and what time. These are actually the 3 factors which you have to take care of when you do advertising. And what we see is actually depending on, since we do, let's say, keyword advertising, we see per keyword different, let's say, usage behavior, and also the conversions per day are different. So you have a different conversion of your advertising on a Monday than you have on a Sunday. And I think this is what advertisers have to take care of, that they can reach their users more flexible with the advertising, and the advertisers which take care of this effect are more successful because they can use their budget more efficiently. And on the other hand, I mean, users not only use the mobile, they also use their desktop PC for research, and so you have to be present actually on all platforms, not only on the mobile.
Okay, and how do you, maybe we go to you, Dima, how do you see B2C compared to B2B market? How do you see the use cases and the usability patterns in comparison with the two sectors?
Well, I personally think that B2C and B2B are two completely different worlds, and the only thing they have in common is that making an app is an easy part, but selling it after that, it's a tricky one. So I think, again, there's two different worlds with two different approaches to marketing, first of all.
Okay. And maybe the other Dmitry can give us a viewpoint from the B2B world.
Yeah, I would probably slightly disagree. When you are correct when you're talking about the marketing, that the marketing for B2C product is way different from the marketing for B2B. But when you're I actually develop the products that are essentially B2B products because we sell them for companies whose end users will be using these products. But every time we develop a new feature, we actually think about the value of this feature for both the business and the end user and the customer. So at the same time, we are doing part of B2B work and B2C, especially in the architecture and user experience design.
And how do you see the end user? Does the end user have an ability to feedback and actually influence the B2B strategy?
Yes, of course. And we used to have the feedback, we used to receive the feedback before the stores, app stores, from our direct customers. So it was filtered, it was not complete. And now, actually, what's interesting and new for mobile and what started with the App Store for iOS, that we can see the reaction to our product, to our changes, to our features by ourselves without having this intermediate proxy. So developers can see the feedback directly from customers, even if they're developing B2B products.
Okay. And Max, how do you see the difference between B2C and B2B market?
I think that there are always options. I mean, for example, it never will be fair if you develop an application for masses. I mean, let's say it's a game. When you develop a game, you have an idea. You just try this idea. If it works, cool. If it's not, bad. But you cannot get the idea to work perfectly from the beginning. I mean, you have to always make it better and better. And when you have version 1.0, which says, okay, it's going to the market, then you think that you have something that is pretty close to the expectations of the auditorium. But in most cases, it's not enough. And then you start to receive bug reports and comments and feedback. But once again, it's in most cases, version 1.0 is only something that's close to the expectations of the auditorium.
Okay. So I think we're going to move on to different platforms now, and I know Mick got quite a hard time on the mobile gaming session earlier. So perhaps Mick, you can talk us through some of Microsoft's strategy in terms of supporting developers with Windows Phone 7 in Russia.
In Russia, we are feeling ourselves very good, as I told before. So our share is growing very fast, and we are projected to have more than 10% this calendar year in Russia. But regarding developers, we are helping them starting the day one. So we've enabled Russian developers to publish the apps for other countries from the beginning Windows Phone platform, and our tools are completely free. So it's very easy to developer to start and try. And for students, it's free even for registration for store. So every student can just go to msdn.com and try download free tools and publish the app, game, and probably get money. And what we see, the growth of number of developers is really high. We were fastest growing marketplace ahead of App Store and Android market in the first 6 months. Currently we have more than 70,000 apps, and we don't share this number, but I can tell you for sure that the quality, the success of Russian developers on global landscape is higher than average, and I think it's clear for everyone that Russian developers are really great, and they create very popular apps. They could be registered here, they could be registered abroad, they could move from that country to another country, but anyway, they are very successful, and we see very good feedback to our development tools, which is Visual Studio. And I know actually some developers using our Visual Studio to create iPhone apps, which is really strange. It's not supposed to use in that way, but I know it's used, and it's also very good.
Okay, perfect. Dima, maybe I'll come to you and ask you which platforms you are. I mean, are you developing on Windows Phone 7, or where are your energies being spent mainly?
Well, for many years, our main target platform was Symbian, because we started many years ago when there weren't any other.
When Symbian existed.
Well, yeah, it's actually funny, but in Russia it still exists, and we still publish our new products on Symbian as well. But actually, we target all major mobile platforms, including iOS, Android, and Windows Phone 7 as well, because it is just stupid to ignore it.
Do you see any difference in terms of which platform makes more money or attracts more users?
Of course, iOS gives us more money, yes, of course. But particularly in our situation, Symbian gives us money as well, so you don't know. Okay, and Max, how about you? How do you see the platform landscape in Russia developing over the next 12 to 18 months? The next 12 to 18. An easy question.
You know, I'm not a seer, but I'll try. I think that iOS will still save its position, not only in Russia, I think worldwide, but Android will gain more and more attention every day. It already does. It already gains more and more attention every day. And for example, in our company, in Intellectsoft, we know that we can't make more money from Android platform, but we can get more attention from users to Android products. For example, we get almost free bug reports from Android market, since it's an option, standard default option there. And if you want to test something, if you want to test your application, you should release it onto Android market. You will get a lot of attention. Of course, the price of these users, the price of these downloads are very low, because I don't have anything personal to Chinese people, but they generate a lot of downloads. But I don't need them because they're not my market. So if you need attention, use Android. If you want to make money, use an iPhone, iOS.
And Dmitry, in terms of the B2B market, do you? Which platforms are you guys generally building on? Is it?
Well, actually, I feel differently from the B2B perspective, because in order to start supporting some new platform, there should be some minimal trigger level of the market share for this platform, and more importantly, the demand from the user to bring the product to their phones. And we mostly work with the United States market, and they are still heavily focused on the iOS, especially on the iPad now, because the demand is huge. There is nothing like this for tablets based on Android, and significant demand for Android smartphones. And these categories are actually different both from development standpoint and from marketing, because the products are different, products you create for these platforms. So we haven't started Windows Phone 7 yet, I'm sorry.
You should try it.
Just investment will be too high compared to what demand we have for this product. Again, United States market, not Russia, close to Finnish border, where you can smuggle devices.
And in terms of the financial institutions that you were telling me about, the apps that you create for them, is there much traction on BlackBerry, for example, or?
They're moving out the BlackBerries slowly. We have pretty good statistics on number of users on different platforms, from even Windows Mobile up to 6.5, which we call Pocket PC still, BlackBerries, Android, and iOS. And Android is growing faster in terms of users, unique users of the application monthly, than the iPhone, and Pocket PC and BlackBerry are basically dying. They're just a fraction of total number of users.
Okay. I think we'll move on to maybe a look at into the future beyond app stores, perhaps. In the UK, the newspaper, the Financial Times, at the end of last year, launched its own HTML5 web app, basically to cut out the 30% they had to pay to Apple, and Apple were very, very much trying to own their subscribers. So the FT took the decision to create an HTML5 web app, whereby their subscribers are still belong to them, or they maintain the relationship with their subscribers. What do you guys feel about how HTML5 will change the development landscape, not just in Russia but globally? Let's go to, who wants to take that? Yeah, go.
We are heavily betting on HTML5, and Windows 8 HTML5 is framework, so-called, so like language that you can use to create native apps. And Windows Store allow you to distribute the HTML5 apps to users, paid, free, with your advertisement, with in-app purchase, anything. So developers just can use this language as they use it to create web applications and try to create native applications. And I believe it's clear now that whole industry moving that direction. There are a lot of questions still. When it will be finalized, how much effort, resources, people we need to create the solution, and so forth. But I cannot imagine any company that will now ask if we need to at least learn that and investigate. And again, what was learned from Camerjam project on HTML5, it was very, very fast to port from web to Windows 8 store, and it will grow dramatically. So now we have like 500 million users of Windows 7, and it's just us. And other platforms will support it as well. So I think HTML5 is the next big thing for sure.
But how does that change the business model for an app store owner, for example?
In our case, it doesn't change so much. Like for developers, they still can create paid apps, free apps, with advertisement, with in-apps. It doesn't matter, HTML5 just technology. But for them, it reduced cost for create this product, because most of them already use it, most of them already use it for web sites, so they will just reduce the amount of resources they need to create that. For monetization, I think it doesn't affect that.
And the rest of the panels, go ahead, yeah.
Well, actually, when developers are talking about the HTML5, a lot of people tend to think there will be some kind of silver bullet, and they will be spending zero time to create cool products for
the next gold rush.
Yeah, next gold rush. But essentially, there is not. The HTML5 is just the next version of hypertext markup language specification, just new cool features, and it's created to describe the interactive content, and that's what it should be used for, I think, personally. So you have interactive content in your product, you can deliver it in form of HTML markup plus JavaScript plus CSS. HTML5 will give you more features, but complex things and complex application will still be complex even in HTML5. And you should be careful with using HTML5 because you're not controlling the engine it's running upon, the WebKit. So you can have performance issues you won't be able to solve. You should think about the scalability of the solution, how big it may become in a few months from now, because version 1.0 is just the beginning. Further, you will have more features. There will be additional requirements in terms of performance. You may not be able to keep up with the HTML5, just maybe. Because still, for example, the cool feature of HTML5, the canvas, if you draw the complex forms on the canvas, it's slow even on the desktop. Not top. On the mobile, it's that slow. So we use HTML, not the HTML5, to deliver the interactive content inside of the native application, and that's the best approach, I think, developers should take for using HTML5 right now without waiting the final specification, which is a couple of years from now.
Always a couple of years from now. Marcel?
I mean, HTML5 obviously lowers the entry barrier for mobile applications. That I think is the main thing, and this is actually the important thing that it has to do. The other thing is what is currently taking place with all these app stores and apps and so on. It will be more difficult to, let's say, raise your head out of the crowd. So, and that's actually another advantage of the HTML5 stuff, since it is more web-based. The advertising for your app is a lot easier. And I think this is what everybody needs. You said already, like, if you want to get attention, use iOS. The other way would be like, I mean, do advertising, otherwise nobody will find your application because there are too many, and to get like into the hit list is a lucky punch. It's hard to predict. We are all now in the professional business with the app development. I mean, I guess you all paid for your tickets in some way or to get here. So it's about earning money now. It's not a playground anymore. And professional business also means that you not only develop a solution for something, but you also need to market it. You need to sell it, and this is what you have to do via advertising.
We'll definitely cover that topic a bit more later. Max, do you have any thoughts to add about HTML5?
I completely agree with Dmitry, and I don't know one thing. One thing I can get still. I agree that HTML5 is a huge thing, but I just can't get where this whole hype is from. I mean, what's so special about HTML5 in all? Can somebody explain me? Okay, try.
Let's do it.
You are an expert, aren't you?
My personal thoughts, two things. First, HTML5 is not technology by any company. It's standard. That means Google fan will promote that, Apple fan will promote it, Microsoft fan will promote it. So it's just not one-sided. And why it's interesting for platforms to support that? Because in the world there are much more web developers than any other kind of developers. So there are more HTML developers than Objective-C developers, for example, or other type of that. So it's dramatically increased the potential number of applications and developers that could use the platform. So that's just new source of talents, that's it.
May I stand up? Because I need to walk.
Yeah, get some energy in the room.
All right. You said that there is a lot of HTML developers, web developers. Are you sure that all these developers are quality? I mean, quality developers, quality coders? You sure about that?
I'm just asking you why I think there are a lot of hype on that.
Well, you mentioned that web developers are one of the most, one of the most present jobs from all the IT guys, right?
No, I'm just telling you that the number of web developers is huge.
Okay, and I need your personal opinion. Do you think that all these developers, web developers, are quality coders?
Of course not, because there are no any technologies that have only quality developers.
But the chance to get more...
It's only a chance.
Yeah, but I mean, if you have a bigger cake, it's more easy to get a bigger bunch of good people out of
all right.
Having a smaller cake.
Hell with Objective-C. Let's say it's going to be C# or C++, whatever. If I have a bunch of C++ developers, I still can develop a lot of applications without HTML5, only by using C++ or C#, right?
I don't know.
So what am I trying to say is that I don't need to use HTML5 to gain more attention, to gather more users, to make my applications more popular, to cover more platforms. There are a lot of other cross-platform frameworks, for example, Adobe, Flex, or anything else. Some of them use HTML, some of them use JavaScript, some of them use C#, some of them use Visual Basic. So what's so special about HTML5?
I think
I didn't get an answer. Still,
it's quite simple. I mean, what you were saying actually is you have more resources, more potential resources to build mobile applications. I mean, but this is actually the point what it's all about. But still, it's a lot less. The entry barrier is a lot lower than building mobile applications for Android, Windows, and iOS. And I think this is the thing which makes it so relevant for the mobile industry to have a standard which makes it more accessible to get into the mobile world with your application. That's actually what I like about HTML5. I'm not a technician, so I cannot tell you anything about C++ Sharp or what's it called, but it sounds cool. I will have to look it up, but still, it's like HTML5 is something I understand. It's like web technology, and what I understand about web technology is many people can use it, and that's actually, for me, the important part.
And Dima, do you have some thoughts to add to that? I can see you're itching to talk.
Well, yeah, I think we all need to remember that HTML5 is just a tool. As any tool, it can be used in some scenarios, and it can be used in other scenarios. I think HTML5 is really a nice technology, nice standard, which can be used for companies who basically own a lot of content, and they want to port this content to mobile devices. In this case, they can freely use any HTML5 based cross-platform technology and just be happy, that's it. In most of other cases, HTML5 is not a silver bullet at all.
Okay, so HTML5, easy. Okay, let's move on to the next discussion, looking at distribution channels other than HTML5. Does the panel think? Start with you, Marcel. Which platforms do you see as the best distribution channels, and how will the App Store how will things move on from the App Store in terms of other distribution channels?
I would say the best distribution channel is the web, and especially in this case the mobile web. And what we see
with HTML5.
Yeah, I mean we'll see more and more, let's say, advertising for mobile apps than we see at the moment, because at the moment still many app developers rely on their let's say listing in the different app stores, but we will end let's say cross advertising from app to app. But I think as a distribution channel we'll see the web becoming more and more relevant, and then advertising on the web. On the other side, I mean, still iOS is like the market for. Like was said before, if you want to earn money, you have to be on iOS, and that will stay for quite a while like this, I guess. The first thing that, I mean, Android is more, let's say, the Android phones are cheaper, so the people who buy Android phones, let's say...
Like me?
Yeah.
Choose your words carefully.
Yeah, I know. No, but I mean, from the studies, you can see that the spend for applications on Android is lower than it is on iOS. And with, let's say, more cheap Android phones, that will increase, actually. Let's say the average spend will even be lower, potentially at least. And so, I mean, again, distribution channel, mobile web, to earn money, you need to go through the app stores.
Dima, we were discussing earlier in the coffee break about how creating an app is a piece of piss, really easy. That's the easy bit. What methods do you use to distribute and market your apps?
Well, actually, the main reason why we aim all major mobile platforms is because we're trying to sell not an app, we try to sell a product. And product means that we have to define our target audience and work with this particular target audience instead of work with any particular app store. So it's all about your users. The main, I think, feature of mobile application promotion and marketing is not trying to get featured in app stores, but to work with your particular users and using these channels of distributions which your target audience can use. So, for example, if you are developing a fitness type product, like actually we do, first of all, we're trying to focus on these distribution channels which probably not connected with mobile technologies, but they have access to our target audiences, like fitness clubs, fitness magazines, etc. And
using traditional channels to
yeah, exactly. This is the moment when mobile applications go offline, and this is our basic approach.
Mick, we discussed earlier about targeting. What's your view on targeting techniques for marketing apps and ads to increase distribution?
I think all three main channels were mentioned from other participants. So it's stores, it's web, and it's offline. And you can start with store probably. After that you will go web, and after that you will go offline. But if you want to be very successful, you need to cover all of them. Otherwise, someone else will be ahead of you. And the second thing is, it's very important to understand where are your customers, in which country, what's the segment of them. Again, if you're targeting Russian smartphone users today, you need to target Symbian first. After that, you need to target Android, Bada, Windows Phone, and after that, iOS. If you're targeting American consumers, it should be absolutely different. iOS should be number one, and others will be very, very far from that. If you're targeting Chinese students, it's very, very difficult. So you should go to Chinese networks, to Baidu, to Zhenzhen, and promote that on that services. Otherwise, no one will find it. So it's very important to know who are your users. And if we tell about games, yeah, games are more universal, and the most popular games in Russia is very similar to most popular games in the US. But if we're telling about apps, there are a lot of apps in different locales, different regions. And as you know, Russian users use different search engine, different social network, different everything. And in other countries, there is also local banks, local newspapers, and so forth. So it's very different from country to country.
And okay, does anyone on the panel actually use sort of pre-product mobile targeting, mobile polls, or trying to understand users' behaviour before you've even written a single line of code, or do you learn as you go and let users feed back to you? Dima, you?
Well, you know, users don't actually know what they want.
What they want.
So it's pointless.
Well, that's that one covered. Yeah.
One question to the audience. Who of you is working for a company that is developing an app or apps? Raise your hands. Hands. Okay, quite a few. And who of you is already advertising the app? None? One? Two?
How many of you are advertising your apps?
And who is only using the app stores for marketing purposes? Should be actually all the rest. I see only two. Okay, that's an interesting poll.
What do you see those as the opportunities then for using advertising, non-app store advertising, to actually drive downloads?
Yeah, I was just wondering how the ones who don't use advertising.
What would you use if you were creating?
I mean, okay, since I help companies to do advertising, I would always propose to do advertising. But I mean, I was just wondering, because let's say actually, I mean, I'm from Germany, and it's typical German to build something and then wait for clients to come. And I think the app world is already too big to follow the strategy, and this is why I was asking, like, if you also follow the strategy of like build something great and then just wait for people to get excited to it, and I mean, how should they find out about your app? What's the idea then?
Actually, Marcel, I think that the poll results are not very surprising because people tend to rely, developers, on the distribution channels as an advertising channel as well. So that's what happens, I think, and that actually what the main difference between the Android, iOS, and other platforms mentioned for Russia like Beta, because there are no such channels well known and famous and widely used. So that's why I would disagree that you should develop it for this platform. A lot of people on these phones, that's right, the share is huge relatively, but they don't install new apps. They just don't know often that they can do this. That's it.
Max, do you have something to add?
Yes, I want to add something. You know what? Speaking of offline marketing, what really works is guerrilla marketing. I mean, when you really know your audience, it works a lot better. Let's say you're in the American Army and you want to bomb an Iraq, or an Iran, I don't know.
Maybe Iran.
You can drop a bomb from the sky. It will cover some territory. But if you will bomb from inside the cave, you will, I don't know, destroy all the terrorists. So what I was speaking of, we had an experiment.
What we're talking about now.
We had an experiment. We partnered with some sportswear company who develops some products, or I don't know, generates some sportswear. We came to a gym. We had a sports application for professional athletes. We gave them a couple of Nikes, a couple of sneakers, and we gave them a promo code for an application. And the result of this experiment was, if only one guy from a gym had an application from us, we had something like 10 paid downloads from that exact gym. And this really works.
So yeah, I mean, adding to that, how does Val feel that you need to create an army of fanatics? How do you get people to love your product so much that they actually want to do your marketing for you? Is there Dmitry?
Polish guys, yeah.
Polish guys, yeah. Have you got any thoughts on that, Dima?
Well, it's all about the service quality. The more solid, if it is a solid build and you engaging your audience with different marketing activities, they would love you and they would act as actually your service promoters.
Cool, I agree with that.
Quite simple.
Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the service quality. So yeah,
Sorry to
I mean,
bore you,
I was
Marcel.
just thinking about. I mean, service quality is definitely a very important point. What I was thinking about is like every app is actually already there. So you will always have you will have competition with your app, and there might be like 5 of apps which do exactly the same, more or less.
So like bit different. American apps that get created and then copied in Berlin, for example.
Yes, for example, we do that a lot. We are the new Chinese. And so actually it is about service quality, and let's say the social graph of an app is very relative. And again, yeah, then how you market it, be it like by advertising or like by having a good press coverage and stuff. But this is something that you really have to think of, like how can you differentiate your app to the 10 apps that are out there already, and which do actually more or less solve more or less the same problem.
Okay, there's one more point that I want to cover, a slightly different topic, and then we'll open up for questions from the floor. In 2 sentences each, what do you think the biggest challenges in terms of privacy and user data are in the next 12 months? Who wants to go first?
The biggest issue?
The biggest issue about, yeah, who owns my data? Who owns my data?
To have privacy. This is the biggest issue.
Is it achievable then? Who will be the gatekeeper of our data?
I think it's impossible. It is already out of control.
Well, we do a lot of stuff around the security because our product are trading software, so it relates to the money. And therefore, actually, we have to implement robust security in our application ourselves because this is a differentiation for users. There are companies who does reviews, they examine applications, and they find out some issues like the application persists user password without encrypting it on the device. So if you lose your device, you lose your password. And everybody need to keep the pace. And at least in the financial industry, where it's really important, and if people gets to know that you don't care about their privacy, their information, and their security, they won't lose. They won't use your application first of all, and you will have really bad feedback and really bad coverage from the media.
Self-policing, basically.
Yeah, somehow it is.
Okay, well, we've got a couple more minutes. I'm going to open up for questions from the floor. Does anyone have? Yes. Okay, introduce yourself.
My name is Elias. I'm working for Park Reader company. We make a reader for mass media, for newspapers, magazines, and so on and so forth. And I have a question: do interface matters for the reader, or interface doesn't matter at all, and just the content which made by the journalists? For the software, for the apps, for the mobile platforms.
Well, I think in your case, the most crucial part is typography, first of all. And yes, interface matters.
No, I mean, we have only EPUB and PDF. It's only we have, and we sell it via the apps. We have problem now. Shall we do better interface than we have now? What do you think? Well, now interface is not very good.
Can you show us your interface?
Yes, you can download it from Google Play. It's a Park Reader application. Not now, a bit later. A bit later you can check it and watch. I think that the interface is not very good. But do we need better interface, or it doesn't matter? Because this is not a game. People don't most of the time, people will look on the newspapers, the text information, pictures, and so on and so forth. Do interface matter in this time? So well, should we do something beautiful and so like shelves and so on?
No.
Let's have one comment, and then we'll have one more question.
Yeah, if it is easy to read, you're fine.
Okay.
If users just can read your text, you're fine.
Do we have one last question then? No, in that case, I'd like to put my hands together. Thank you very much.